All right, guys. Hello. As always, welcome back to Ultra Killer Real Estate. Thank you for all support, all subscribers. Greatly appreciate it. So, one of my favorite areas to buy properties in are properties that are located on the same block as a grade school or a high school, or either right around the corner or right by a high school or a grade school. So, this is the thing. I know some people think, like, why would you want to, have a property right by a school? Like, it's always gonna be kids around. It's gonna be, people always hanging out, stuff like that. And honestly, it is nothing like that. In my opinion, I like having properties that are not stacked on top of a bunch of other properties. So one of the biggest things that a school would do, especially a high school, because a high school is typically always bigger, it barricades the block off. So typically, whenever there's a high school in the area, literally that and at least one entire city block, on all sides will be taken up between the school building, maybe even the athletic fields, and also the parking lot for the cars. And so now that means that you have a whole bunch of less neighbors than what you would have had on a normal block, where that other block could be filled with typical houses, apartment buildings, and now that puts more people stacked on top of living on top of each other. And that's one of the biggest things, it kind of barricades the block off. So I actually own several properties by schools, and I tell you, it's like one of the best experiences ever. Also, depending on the area that you're in, or maybe it's like a little bit of activity in the area but not that much, having a school right by your property does wonders, because whether the people who are involved with people are gang banging, stuff like that, whether they know it or not, but I think typically they do, there's always a greater penalty for getting caught for doing something in a school zone. And so if you're you got gang bangers and people dealing drugs, whatever it may be in the area, they know that they don't want to catch a charge in a school zone area. And so they typically stay away from those areas, because usually the consequences are far worse when they're in a school zone. So that means that you're going to have less activity around your building, making the area for your tenants to be safer to live in. Now, especially if you're renting to Section 8 tenants, if you're by a grade school or a high school, because mostly all Section 8 tenants have kids, now you give them an option of a place to send their kids to school, because it's either right around the corner, or even in some cases, it could be directly across the street. For instance, one of my tenants, I know that she sends her kids to the school that's right across the street from my property. And so it's a big thing for convenience for them. Convenience is one of the main reasons why people will stay at your building, because they like the area and it's convenient for them, whether it's convenient for their job and or by their family, or because it's convenient for their kids to go to a good, safe school that's right by the house. So being by grade schools and high schools, trust me, in my opinion, I always look for that. It barricades the block off and makes sure that you have less people on top of living all around each other, and also for safety aspect. And then also there's typically going to be police presence when you have a high school and a grammar school around the area. So police are always going to be coming through the area, watching out for activity and things of that nature. So definitely recommend it. Look for areas, if you can, where there's a high school or a grammar school on the block, or either maybe right around the corner from where you're looking to buy a property. All right, got more videos coming up soon. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, you can find me on Instagram at Ultra Kellen, and if you're watching on Instagram, you can find me on YouTube at Ultra Kellen Real Estate. All right, guys, till next time.